Today we're going to solve percent problems by using a percent proportion, and we're going to find the part. Now we already know how to do this using models, but now we're going to use the proportion. And the proportion is nothing new. We've used the proportion before. However, we call this the percent proportion because there's a certain way to set it up. So please make sure that you have your notes and you're filling them out as you watch the video. Pause the video whenever necessary so that you can stay caught up with your note taking. Okay, percent proportion, finding the part. All right, when talking about parts and wholes, remember something is a part of a whole. Like a fraction, it's a part to whole. Also ratios, we can have the part to whole ratio relationships. So the percent proportion is the part to the whole is going to be equal to, so this is the first part of the proportion, the first ratio. This is the part and the whole of whatever it is that you're talking about. And then the second ratio is going to be your percent. The percent that you're given, or maybe that you need to find, out of 100%. The percent that you want here is a part, and the whole is always going to be 100%. Remember, we've talked about this lots and lots of times. Percent means per 100 or out of 100. It's a comparison of a number to 100. Always, always 100. So some hints when you're reading your word problems. The part represents a specific part of the whole. It's the number that usually follows the word is. Not all the time will you see the word is. The whole is going to be the total of what you're talking about. It's the number that usually follows the word of. And then the percent refers to the number with the percent symbol or the percent sign. Now it's very important to know that in the percent proportion, the percent and the part should always represent the same thing. They should always be talking about the same thing. Okay, let's do our first example. Find 30% of 80. So the first thing we want to do is we want to identify the parts that we know. There are three parts to the percent proportion. There's the part, the whole, and the percent. This 100% right here, this never changes. It will always be 100% when talking about a percent proportion. So we're given 30%, the percent. So we're going to fill this in here on the percent line. Of 80. This of 80, remember the clue word of? That represents the whole amount, the whole. And we're looking for the part. This is our unknown. So when you set up your percent proportion, you just fill in all the information you know. Do we know the part? No, that's our unknown, so I'm going to use the variable n. Do we know the whole? Yes, the whole is 80. And do we know the percent? Yes, it's 30. And that will always be over 100. The percent is always out of 100. And then you solve it like you do a regular proportion. Be careful because you need to make sure that you're drawing your arrows and you're going in the right direction. The direction we need to go is from what we know to the unknown. Our unknown is on the left side, so we need to go from the right to the left. We do the same thing from the 100 to the 80. So looking at 100, can we multiply or divide by a whole number to make 80? No. But we can simplify. Simplify this ratio on the right-hand side. Shortcut trick. They both end in a 0, so I can cross them out because that's the same as dividing by 10. And now I have 3/10. And I can multiply 10 times 8, and that will give me 80. So then do the same thing with a 3. Multiply it by 8, and 3 times 8 is 24. So our answer would be 24. 24 is the part. It's the 80% part of the whole 80. Example 2, find 275% of 4. Take a look. The percent we're looking at is 275%. That's way larger than 100%, isn't it? Okay, so that means our part amount is going to be greater than the whole. So this of 4 represents our whole, and again, we're looking for the part. So the part, because the percent is greater than 100%, is going to be greater than the whole. So set up your percent proportion part to whole. Our unknown, n, There's your whole. And the percent is 275 out of 100. Always out of 100. This one, we can easily use a scale factor. We're getting smaller. You go from your known to your unknown. We're getting smaller from 100 to 4, so we're dividing. Hopefully you remember your quarters. Divide by 25. And if there are 4 quarters in a dollar, and this is $2, 200, that's 8 quarters. 75 cents is 3, and 8 plus 3 is 11. So 11 is 275% of 4, and that definitely makes sense. We want it to be larger than the whole because the percent is greater than 100%. Use a circle graph. Suppose that there are 300 students at York Middle School. Determine the number of students that have chips as a snack. Okay, so now we're getting into the word problems. So the part we're talking about is the chips. Do we know how many people chose chips? Well, when I look at my circle graph, we know what percent chose chips, so I can fill this in my percent, and I'm going to make sure that I write chips next to it, because this 18% represents the number of chips. There are 300 students at the school. That's your total or your whole amount. And we're looking for the chip amount. This is our unknown. Now, I want you to go always, and check. Does the percent and the part represent the same thing? The part we're looking for is the chip part, and the percent part is also chips. So they do represent the same thing, so we can continue and set up our percent proportion. Part to whole, the part is unknown, that's our n. The whole is 300. It's going to equal percent, which is 18, always out of 100. And solve your proportion. We're going from the 18, what we know, to the unknown. So we're going from right to left. So we have to go from 100 to 300. Since we're getting larger, that means we're going to multiply, and we can multiply it by 3. 100 times 3 equals 300. Then you have to do the same thing with the 18, multiply it by 3, and you get 54. Write a quick little answer statement. 54 students have chips. Okay, example 5. 80% of the students in Jamal's class are wearing tennis shoes. There are 30 students in his class. How many students in his class are not wearing tennis shoes? Okay, let's look at the numbers we're given. We're given 80% of the students wear tennis shoes. So that's my percent, 80%, and they have tennis shoes. There are 30 students in his class, so that's the whole. We want to know how many are not wearing tennis shoes. That's the part that's unknown. That's our N, and this is going to be not shoes or not tennis shoes. Okay, now we need to stop and we need to check. Does the part and the percent represent the same thing? The percent represents tennis shoes. I guess I should write tennis shoes here. And the part represents not wearing tennis shoes. So are they the same thing? Do they represent the same thing? No, they don't. So this is where you need to think about this. All of the students, all of them is 100%, right? Okay, well, if 80% are wearing tennis shoes, that means the rest of them are not wearing tennis shoes. So what percent is not wearing tennis shoes? Well, it's going to be 20%, because these two have to add up to 100%. 80% plus 20% equals 100. So if we're looking for the number of students who are not wearing tennis shoes, we need to change this over here. Instead of 80%, we need to put 20%. And these are the not wearing the tennis shoes. Now the part and the percent match. We're ready to set up our percent proportion. Part to whole. The part is unknown. That's our variable n. The whole is 30. The percent is 20, not 80, but 20, always out of 100. To go from our known to our unknown, we're going from right to left. We're getting smaller. Is there any number, whole number, that we can divide 100 by to make 30? No. But simplify. They both end in a 0, so I can cross them out. Now can I turn 10 into 30? Sure. Multiply by 3. Do the same thing to the 2. Multiply by 3 and you get 6. Write your answer statement. Answer the question. How many students in his class are not wearing tennis shoes? 6 students are not wearing tennis shoes. And our last example. The original price for a pair of shoes is $45. The sale price is 20% off the original price. What is the discount? So you go into a store, you want to buy these pair of shoes, they cost $45. This is your whole amount. But guess what? They're on sale. 20% off. So the percent is 20. This is going to be the discount. And what do we want to know? What is the discount? In dollars, what is the discount? So this is our unknown, and it refers to the amount of the discount. So check. Do the part and the percent represent the same thing? Yes, they do. They both represent discounts. So we can do our percent proportion. Part to whole. The part is unknown. That's our N. The whole is 45. The percent is 20, always out of 100. Now we're going from what we know to the unknown, so we have to go from right to left. Can we go from 100 to 45? No, can't do it, can we? Okay, I see that they both end in a 0, so I'm going to cross them out. Now I have 2 to 10. Can we go from 10 to 45? No, that doesn't work either, but I can simplify one more time by dividing by 2, and that will give us a 1 to 5. Now can I go from 5 to 45? Sure. 5 times 9. And do the same thing with the 1. 1 times 9 is going to be 9. Then write your answer statement. Answer the question, what is the discount? The discount is $9. And that's all there is to it. We're solving the proportions the same way we did regular proportions. The only thing that's special is that it is a percent proportion. So you're going to have the percent always out of 100. And now you're ready for your independent practice problems.